Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Studios near Detroit, Michigan. It's unregimented.
Gangsters, what's up, guys?
And now, here are your hosts.
Here we are.
Hello.
We're still here. For now. I don't know.
It's like a bad penny we always turn out.
It's been a quiet week in Washington, so we're probably a couple weeks. We're here for now. But 173, I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
I'm Rich.
Hey, glad our name isn't Milo this week, huh? Man, whoops.
Am I the only one who before this new Milo Yiannopoulos, if someone said Milo, I thought of the Descendants?
Right, yeah.
Just wondering, which is completely polar opposite of him. So it's just wondering.
Pretty much. Yeah, Milo just imploded this
I thought
week.
of Milo and Otis, like there's a dog and it was a pug and a cat.
I had forgotten that one until you brought it up, but thank you. Yeah, he just fell apart.
Isn't this what Bill Maher wanted?
Well, he claims credit.
I mean, isn't this kind of what he was champion a week ago? Like, hey, man, isn't this the best thing to do if you don't like him? And what did it take till Monday? Maybe Tuesday?
One of his favorite quotes, and it's not his. I wish I could remember the original source, but sunlight is the best disinfectant. And his idea is that, like, nothing Milo is saying is anything to be afraid of. If you don't agree with him, then that's fine. Let's have a discussion about that. But he's not saying things so insane that he needs to be kept away from the general public. He's not Charles Manson. He's not coercing people to kill others. No, he's done some vile shit, no doubt. And, you know, he's strangely, well, I don't know. It's not really homophobia. He just doesn't like gays or other gays. Or at least not white ones.
Gay! He definitely feels that, at least this is how he comes off, because I've watched a few different podcasts with him, or listened to a few different podcasts with him over the years, and like in the last 2 years or so, he seems to have an issue with trans people. He feels it's more of a mental disorder than anything else. And the bitch of it is that if you look at the studies, there is a large portion, we're talking close to 50%. This was just covered on Joe Rogan's podcast with Gavin McInnes the other day.
Yeah.
Of people who I'll say rush into the transition, I guess. Okay, because it's so much easier now than it was even 5-10 years ago, who have regrets about it later. And they end up, basically they feel, okay, well, I've been trapped in this body that's not me, let me transition, and I won't feel depressed and anxiety and all this anymore. Well, and then when they do, they find out that, guess what? All that depression and anxiety is still there anyways.
Well, yeah, there's been some chatter around Caitlyn Jenner the last 6 months or so. Like, I don't think anything's come to fruition, but I've heard more than one story talking about she's not happy. She
just got new boobs.
Yeah, maybe it's part of the self-esteem thing. I don't know, but I don't think they've been from credible news sources, but it's been bantered around that.
What does any of that have to do with what we're talking about, though? That's
what it has to do with is that this is where, when you were like, he seems not to like gay people.
Right.
He has stated multiple times he feels it's kind of 50-50 nature and nurture. But being
homosexual?
Yes, being homosexual.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I think his problem is more with trans people because he insists on calling it a mental disorder.
Yes, no, undoubtedly. He has a bigger problem with most women, black people that aren't men and gay, and half of the homosexuals out there.
I think it's self-loathing because he's Catholic, quite honestly.
Well, he has a bigger problem with those and trans people than he does homosexuals in general, but...
He claims a religion that tells him he's evil.
Look,
but he's blatantly homosexual. I think a lot of this comes from self-loathing.
He's an octopus sprinkler of hate and idiocy, you know? He's got plenty to go around, and everybody gets a little bit. Everyone's going to get a little wet when they stand next to him. But the idea that the bridge too far was apparently an off-color joke. I mean, who hasn't made a fucking pedophile joke at this point?
I don't think it was so much it was an off-color joke. Did you hear the conversation?
I heard the conversation.
It seemed he came off just sympathetic. He seemed to come from the angle of, hey, some of these boys that get molested by older guys, it works out for them. It helps them out. Like, yeah, you can't do that. You came down to get sympathetic to people who prey on children. That's what I think destroyed them.
Well, I heard the conversation, and he was making one point and then making another joke, and it was very unfortunate that he put them so closely together to make it seem like his bigger point was some people who get molested by priests like myself, whether that's true or not, turn out okay. It's not that big of a deal. And, yeah, I mean, anyway.
Yeah, but a lot of people disagree with that. Well,
the joke that he has repeated constantly before he even said it on Bill Maher was, if it wasn't for him getting molested by Father so-and-so, he wouldn't give as good of head as he does these days.
Right.
Okay, that joke he's used multiple times on Joe Rogan's show, multiple times on other podcasts for years now. And that was supposedly the catalyst for them to go dig up this old audio recording of him expanding on that thought, which was, the way I took it was, if you're confused about your sexuality and you're molested, molestation isn't a great thing, but it might make you less confused about your sexuality. I don't understand that line of thinking. But then again, I've always known what side of the plate I'm batting from. I've never had any confusion like, I'm not even, never even was curious. So I don't know.
Well, but I don't know. I don't think, none of us really know. We're supposing. But from what I understand, it's not the majority of situations where an older man is almost like a father figure to a younger gay man or gay boy. And actually, while he may fuck them, he also leaves them better than they were before. Gives them a little guidance, shows them, hey, this is what being gay is all about, or this is my lifestyle. Is almost a role model, but that's not really
Well, I'm paraphrasing, and it's all anecdotal.
That's
my
the
experience
minority.
with gay people is they know, and it didn't take somebody touching them in the no-no spot to let them know they were gay. They knew. It was obvious to them.
No, you're oversimplifying. It's not about, am I gay or not? It's, I'm gay and what the fuck do I do? What does this mean? I don't know any other gay people. Where do gay people go in my town? If you don't live in New York or LA or someplace, then might as well be in the middle of nowhere. All I'm saying is that there are examples of like older gay men hooking up with younger dudes.
Start at the flower shop.
And it's not always predatory. As a matter of fact, it's probably less predatory than in most situations where you find that with heterosexual couples, especially older men dating younger girls. It's not always a bad thing. It's not always predatory. They're not always fucking them up, but more often than not, it usually is either some ulterior motive or some confusion. But regardless, I think that's kind of getting us off into the weeds on this subject, though, because
no one's getting off.
Because nothing.
Bad choice of words.
Well, here's the thing. Bill Maher certainly got a ton of shit for putting him on, and everyone's saying you're giving him a platform, you're placating him, he was laughing at him and agreeing with him on things.
How dare he give someone a fair opportunity to state their opinion from the side that claims to want to give everybody a fair and honest, or a fair and just opportunity to do things.
So just the act of booking him actually got Milo a little bump in the presses, because everyone's talking about him. Bill Maher is a liberal hero, and he's giving airtime to this Nazi alt-right freak. And I mean, while nothing that went down on Bill Maher's show actually took Milo down as far as him losing his book deal, being kicked off the speakers list for CPAC, and basically probably losing most of his following as well.
I do think he got Billy Bush.
None of this happened as a direct result from anything that was said or done on Bill Maher's show, but just the fact that Bill Maher put him on, he got put in the spotlight again, and people went digging.
He got Billy Bushed.
And they got something on him that...
This is Milo's grabbing by the pussy.
A couple years ago, right? They dug up the worst thing they could find on this guy so they didn't have to deal with him anymore. And so now Bill Maher is getting slagged again for taking credit for helping to bring Milo down.
And see,
you can't win. The world's worst game show.
Exactly.
You never win.
This is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. Heads, you lose. Tails, they win. If he never booked them, then they would have been like, well, if you know that and you have such confidence that your views are going to prove him to be a fool, then why wouldn't you book him?
Right.
Don't run from him. Don't be scared of him. Right. He books them.
Well,
and from that same crowd, but people who just feel differently about giving a voice to someone who they disagree with, comes the, what are you doing? This is going to lead to the normalization of his ideas. What if there's people who, because he's so charming and he's so charismatic that he's going to sway people over to his side.
Right.
And then ultimately,
but no,
he said a joke that he said, I've heard it at least 4 other times on different podcasts.
Yes.
In long form version, and he's expanded upon it because in Bill Maher, you really don't get a whole lot of time. You get maybe 10 minutes.
It's kind of unfortunate that
I don't think he made the most of his time personally. I thought that was a shit interview on his part.
Yes, they were both all over the place, and in general, that was.
And I thought Milo should have waited till after the show to maybe do his bump of coke, but we can get into that later. It was unfortunate that this was probably one of the poorer shows of Bill Maher's real time. I mean, honestly, they didn't break any new ground. I mean, who breaks new ground? What does that even mean? But it was a lot of. The panel was 2 against 1, which is never fun.
Well, it kind of always is. He can only really get one conservative.
Sometimes it goes like 2 against 2.
I remember the one time he had 3 conservative guests on his panel.
Yeah, I think that was like, that after. Obama.
He was like, don't get used to it. Yeah, he was like, don't get used to this.
Right, so it wasn't really a strong show. It wasn't a good interview, in my opinion. I'm not saying that, like, oh, fuck Bill Maher. Like, I'm still going to watch his show. Everybody, I mean, how many of these shows has he done? They're all going to be gold when he has to rely on whatever comes out of the mouths of the people that he books. I mean, sometimes you get a dud and sometimes you get genius.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had people say that, I'm sure you've seen it, you've said you've watched enough. Mos Def's first appearance with Cornel West was fucking hilarious. And then his appearance a few weeks later, maybe a month or 2 later, actually, with Christopher Hitchens, he just got savaged.
Yes. I remember that one. He got owned.
He was trying to punch way above his weight class, so...
Yeah, I doubt, saying that Milo was in any way comparable to Christopher Hitchens, I thought was way off base. That was the one thing that he had said that night, Bill Maher said, and I was like, what? Come on.
Well, I said it before when we were talking about he was going to be on the show, and I said I feel that there's the potential there because Milo lives for debate. That's what he wants to do. I mean, that's his whole thing. His talking tours. He'd rather have a debate.
Yeah, but debate is a portion of his brand, which is dangerous, right? And he wants everyone to think that what he's saying is too dangerous to be heard. And everybody up until this week have been playing into it, have been helping him push his brand by getting him canceled from speaking at universities or trying to get him off of TV shows like Real Time. All you're doing is helping him sell books, helping him image himself as the dangerous faggot, and really just empower him because there's nothing that you can say to change his mind or change his path. The only thing you can do is either give in and just laugh at it like the clown that he is, or the worst thing for him at all, don't pay him any attention, right?
Well, I mean, sadly, that's just what it comes down to, because he is an ideologue. He's never going to change his mind. He has his talking points. He sticks to them. I've never seen him reverse himself on an issue. I've never seen him give an inch on an issue. The closest I've seen is in some podcast. It gets to the point where they've been hammering at one issue for 20 minutes, and neither him or the host are given any ground, so they agree to disagree and move on.
Yeah, and I understand that what I said just then is kind of contradictory to the point I was making earlier, but I look at it as two different things. When I say don't give him any attention, I'm really speaking to the individual. Don't let Milo rile you up. He's just an idiot that says dumb shit, right?
Yeah, well, we don't live in that world, unfortunately.
Right. Yes, put him on TV. You know, that's great. If he's got ideas, let's have a conversation, you know, and then everyone can see how ridiculous his ideas are, and then they can stop paying attention to him.
Well, here's the really fucked up thing. He is the perfect example of growing up with the internet and wanting to troll in real life. And he does not even he doesn't even get the idea of trolling softly. He goes all out.
The only thing that makes him not a human embodiment of 4chan is he doesn't say the N-word. If he just said the N-word constantly, then he would be human 4chan.
If he takes a backdoor pounding from as many black guys, and those are his exact words, as he says he does, I'm pretty sure maybe he's probably said it in the heat of the moment at one point in his life.
Oh, man, that's another sign.
He's probably got a couple that let him get away with it.
Now I know he's self-loathing. Gay, Catholic, black dudes. I mean, all the signs of self-loathing. Well, no, just all the signs of being a self-loathing gay are there.
Fucking black guys
dudes,
means
you lost me at. What's going on?
Yeah,
with the
I don't
dudes?
get that.
Well, no, it's just raging against the. I had my brain scrambled for 18 years of Catholicism. I get it, and I know what I mean.
Do you mean like
you're raging against the machine?
He's like, okay, I'm not going to go with the white fairies. I'm going to go with the black twinks or whatever.
Like, listen, if I'm going to be gay, I'm going to be the worst kind of gay you're hoping for, Dad.
Oh, so it's a rebellious thing. Okay,
yeah.
I gotcha. It's like the chick who brings home a black guy hopes her parents flip out.
Even myself as a young man, even though I'm not gay, it seems like everybody in my life at one point or another has suspected that I am, including my parents. So I would fuck with them. You know, I'd wear a crop top and go to a club. Like, what the fuck are you wearing?
You know, blow a dude on the front lawn, you know?
Take that, Dad!
Leave some playgirls sitting around the house.
Or in high school, my friend Christian and I would always, like, hump each other in the hallway.
Oh, are we figuring out Milo didn't get enough hugs?
Yeah. I think this guys would be like, you two are fags. And we're like, oh, yeah. And just grab each other by the hips and start humping away.
And we're coming for you. CUM.
Yep. Another reason why I never really got in a fight in high school probably is because they just thought I was going to start humping halfway through anyway.
Well, something that I wanted to say that I think has been lost in all this is that I think we've all said at one point talking about Milo that for the most part we disagree with him. He has a few points that we do agree with. And his methods are just fucking so over the top. It's almost a caricature.
They're getting fewer by the day.
Well, he's got so many fucking...
It's almost satire, really.
He's got so many opinions. It's impossible for them to all be wrong.
Well, if you saw a character like him in the movie, you would think that they're like, okay, so this is someone doing Stephen Colbert to the 10th degree.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is a send-up of Perez Hilton.
Right. People have compared him to a shitty Sacha Baron Cohen character. Like
Bill Maher did tell me he looked like Bruno.
Yeah, he was pissed.
But
he knew. He saw a mirror.
He knew what he looked like when he left that. He knew where you got that shirt. Damn, for one in the men's department.
Dude, that is a TV studio. There is a mirror right before you walk out.
I just want to say it's fucked up for him because honestly, I've seen him on clips when he was still pretty much coming up in Britain, and he's a lot more reserved. He's a lot more on point. He stays on subject. And he has destroyed people who he really probably shouldn't even be in the same fucking room with, according to their credentials, in a debate. But then he comes over here and it's like he knows this is Trump land now.
So
he's got to play to the lowest common denominator. And
so is that more of a commentary on us?
Well, yeah, but the sad part is, one, he feels the need to do that, and that's partly because of us and partly because he feels that's what he needs to do to get his name out there. And two, I think what's lost, and what's worse than everything, is that the valid points he makes get buried for the hyperbolic bullshit.
Right.
And that's what sells here in fucking America.
Yeah.
We don't care about how many times have we talked about this? We don't care about nuance. We don't care about context anymore. None of that matters.
Stupid.
Yeah.
We want to be outraged. We are addicted to being outraged one way or the other.
But we have plenty of intelligent people in this country that have valid opinions that should be heard. And we don't need.
They're not. We don't
need Milo. We have no need for this guy at all.
Our problem is we stick and I've talked about this with other things, we stick the mic in front of the wrong people. In general.
Yeah.
Whether it's the eyewitness, whether it's the man on the street interview, or whether it's our pundits. It seems about the last decade, we're putting the mic in front of the wrong people. We're shining the light.
Same people over.
We're shining the light on the wrong people. We're empowering the wrong people. But, whatever. I'm white, male, cisgendered, middle class. Nothing I say counts, right?
Well, once again, I think we've proven going on 3 years with a 8-month sabbatical, I guess we'll put it, with this podcast. Someone's listening to us, so someone gives a fuck what we got to say. I mean, it might be outside of the mainstream media, and these might not be people who adhere to the simplistic talking points of MSNBC or Fox News, but that's okay with me. I'm sure. I don't know how you guys feel. I'm fine with that.
I don't know that I'm that outside the mainstream. I mean, I don't know.
It's okay. The mainstream as it's projected by the news. Let's put it that way.
Right.
The mainstream. If you listen to the news, the mainstream.
Decide.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you listen to just the news, the mainstream is the radicals, and we all live in a world where we walk around and. For the most part, we see a lot of people who are like, no, both of you people are fucking morons, and both y'all really need to shut the fuck up. But
we live in an all or nothing society lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, today I read some random tweet that was in response to getting conservatives out of office in 2 years' time, less than that, and. The tweet was, I don't think we'll ever have democratic elections in this country again. And it's like, really?
What?
You think it's come to that? And all these people responding about how Trump's
had 8 years of a Democratic president.
Trump's following the tyrant rule book. I mean, yeah, you know what? He is. If you look at the facts of the way that he tries to immediately discredit and handle the media so that he can control the facts of any situation, and also trump up, so to speak, fear of Mexicans and Muslims in this country to give a common enemy to rally people against as a reason for whatever pet project is that you want to do. But yeah, he is acting like a tyrant. But this country isn't broken, and this country doesn't suffer tyrants.
No, I saw something the other day. I think it was, it had to be Samantha Bee or something. And, they keep going off and making all these crazy comparisons to he's doing things that Putin has done and things like that. And everyone keeps forgetting, we have an extra 2 layers of government here. They don't in Russia.
Right.
It's already worked. It worked with the travel ban. The court stepped in and went, calm down, buddy. We understand, You ain't gotten laid since you got elected, but you got to calm down. This is how this works.
It's a more extreme version of what we saw with Bush, which was, Bush would so love to be president for life. I bet he'd love that, you know.
I saw George W. Bush speak the other day, and I did go, oh, remember this guy?
Yeah.
Oh, can he come back?
He's so cute.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it made me think.
Come to that, everybody.
It made me think of not that long ago in this country where I heard things like Obama is definitely Muslim, probably a terrorist, not born in this country, not really an American. All these ridiculous things from these far-right kooks, some of them in office, that you
now it's
that
because
we could just like, they're just insane.
Because now
this is like not even a real conversation here.
With the access to the microphones and the flashlights, if you were, are the ones who are irritated. So now we're going to hear about it.
Microphones and flashlights.
The media.
The media.
The people are shining the flashlights on things.
Okay.
The ones who are doing that are the ones who are irritated now. Because it definitely, the media definitely.
I'm not talking about the media. I'm just talking about liberals being just as crazy stupid as conservatives.
Well, they definitely seemed this is charged up when I remember George Bush. He's a war criminal, you know, and I remember George Bush was the devil and he was the worst politician ever. Like it seemed it was just as extreme.
Yes.
When he was in president.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of Trump because I think that he's a tyrant, because he's going to start putting people in camps, because he's going to be president for life, because he's actually going to build a wall around this country. I'm afraid because I am almost certain he's going to fail miserably at everything that he does, and he's going to ruin this country in the process. His tax policies, his immigration policies, his labor policies, schools, all these things add up to a really shitty economy. It's going to fuck this country up if we don't manage to get control of this. So
I work in a recession-proof industry. I'll be okay. I guess I'm coming from a very insular point, but
yeah. Let's just strive to become as rich as possible.
I made it through
during this administration.
Go to the ChristopherMedia.net. Hit the donate button.
Yeah, there you go.
You can
help us stay off of Trump's radar.
Yeah, exactly.
I do think it's interesting that I hear people who are in support of Trump pretty much lockstep. No matter what he does, I've yet to hear any criticism from the people that say what I'm about to quote them say, and they go, "What's the big knock against him? Oh, he's a billionaire." Well, isn't that what everyone in this world wants?
He's crazy.
It's like, okay, well, hold on a sec. You're putting such a fucking slant on the biggest knock against Trump. Very few people that dislike Trump I hear walk around saying, "I hate him because he's got money." But let's play the what if game and say that is the biggest knock against Trump. Well, isn't that what everybody in this world wants, is to be a millionaire or billionaire? Okay. Well, don't we know in a capitalist society, if you paid attention in school, everybody can't be billionaires? Everybody can't be millionaires? That's not how capitalism works. There's going to have to be losers for a whole lot of losers for every single winner.
Yeah, that's not how any place.
Well, that's not what we've been sold.
Abu Dhabi, I think.
We've been sold everyone can be anything that they want. Doesn't matter what.
I mean, I understand that, and we've talked about it before. Carlin said the reason it's called the American Dream is because you got to be asleep to believe it. And we've been sold a bill of goods, and we're told, all the standard bullshit, hard work and blah, blah, blah. And you can get there one day too. Okay, well, let's be honest. It's not just.
I bet he can't even hear it.
It's not just glass ceilings for. I'm sorry.
Can you hear music, Rich? I'm sorry.
Barely.
Okay.
I can hear something underneath you. It sounds like background noise on your mics, though. Okay. Well, you can keep going.
Fine. I'm not going any further than that.
Yeah. Well, right there is perfect.
All right.
Well, I can hear it. Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm sorry to interrupt you. Technical things.
No, that's cool. I'm just. we're all not going to be billionaires. We're all not going to be millionaires, no matter how innovative we are, how hard we work. There are plenty of pitfalls that can happen between living check to check and being, Bill Gates.
That's only 100,000 here. Can I do that one? Can I crack the 6th digit?
That's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. We, for these people to say, doesn't everyone want to be a millionaire and a billionaire? Of course. Doesn't everyone want to wake up next to the person of their dreams and have the perfect relationship and the perfect car and house? Of course we all want that, but that's not reality. What reality most people just want to be able to go about their lives and worry as little about the basic necessities of survival as possible.
That's all I want. I want things to happen and me not to go, well, shit. Let's do some math here. That's all I want. That's all I want at this point in life with anything. Even from this. If you hit the donate button. We're not looking for 4-digit donations.
Well, but it's the same people that are defending Trump and his millions of dollars that were rolling their eyes at John Kerry when he was windsurfing because he's an elitist.
Well, that's talking out of both sides of your mouth.
We can't have an elitist in office because he doesn't understand the common man.
Well,
but for some reason, Trump understands the common man.
Just the thing with Kerry
because he has a vocabulary of like 9,000 words.
Trump isn't pretending to be us. He's pretending to understand us. He's not pretending to be us. When you get into things like John Kerry is from the party that is always, they're like the lawyer on fucking TV during the day. I'll fight for you. All right. And I'm one of you. I'll fight for you because I'm one of you.
Right. He's way more like Charles Manson than Hitler.
But that's talking out of both sides of your mouth. But then, then he's seen doing things. I've never been fucking windsurfing. Have you?
No.
He's sitting there being seen doing things that not everyday people does, but then when he's, toweling off, he's telling you about how much he's everyday people. That's probably where that line of thing comes from.
Okay,
John Kerry was a fake, no doubt. He couldn't even get the name of the town right that he was in. Yes.
I want to make an observation about Chris, and I hope I don't piss you off too bad. It's not my intent. It's just an observation I've noticed. Like, case in point, when we talk about Bernie, you were like, yeah, we were all feeling the burn at one point, and then he sold out. He got that house and blah, blah, blah. Dude, you rage so hard against people when it seems like you feel that they've let you down.
Don't lie to me.
Especially politicians.
That's the thing. Don't lie to me. That's, I guess, where my dander comes up.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable.
No, I'm not making a judgment call on it. It's funny because what is the difference between windsurfing and going golfing at a fucking $250,000 a year exclusive, golf club that you got to, drop $250,000 a year to be a member of? I mean, which one really in the end costs more and costs less?
It ain't about Windsor. It's about, I guess he's a rich guy and he knows it. That's what I'm saying. It's not like Michael Moore sitting there trying to deny he's a millionaire. You know what I'm saying?
But we are never going to elect royalty and tatters in this country. We are never going to elect people who are politicians who drive a Mazda 6 on one pair of shoes.
It says to me something about your ethics if you say one thing and do another. Is this what you take this in? Trust me, I know with running the country, they're not all angels, but I mean, before you even got the job, this is how we're acting.
This is the situation that we've been put into, though. There's no politicians that we agree with 100%. And when we don't agree with them, we can say, they're just saying that to get elected. And sometimes you're right, and sometimes you're wrong. I think a lot of people who weren't necessarily pro building a wall voted for him thinking this is never going to happen. He's just saying that to get elected.
Mm-hmm. Mandy has a crazy theory, by the way. It's okay. I think it's pretty sound. All right. I'm throwing the three people in this meeting in here. This is me, but she thinks there was a meeting. I think Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, and Mike Pence were at this meeting. And they sat Donnie Boy down and went, all right, you somehow fucking got elected. Keep saying your crazy dumb shit that you said get elected. we will run the government. Like, she thinks things like the travel ban and all this, and I'm going to build the wall. They think they might she thinks there's a little wag the dog going on. Like, all right, Gary, you said all this crazy shit, got you elected, go out, do it.
I don't know.
We'll run the government.
Here's my problem with that theory. My one true belief about Trump is that nobody talks to him frankly. About anything.
Nobody puts Donnie in a corner?
Nobody puts Donnie in the corner. That's what got him here.
I think she's onto the right.
I think they got together and tried to figure out how they could manipulate Trump into doing the things that they want. Mm-hmm. But to actually say shit to him like, you do your job and we'll do ours. No, I can't. I don't think that happened. I honestly do not.
I think she's on the right track. She's just coming to the wrong conclusion because I cannot remember what show I was watching,
and plus, where's Steve Bannon? I mean, he's integral to this.
It was Republicans who are not Trump supporters, but they are Pence supporters, and they are the old GOP guard supporters, and they said flat out themselves. They said, we think what's going on is that the people behind Trump, Pence and all them, like you said, Mitch McConnell, they're just letting him go nuts, dig his own grave. Mm-hmm. And then when he gets his ass booted out for whatever reason, because eventually if you give him enough rope, he'll hang himself. He's proven that time and time again. It's just a matter of what's going to be the one final thing that he does that he takes it too far. And then you're going to have President Trump. You're going to have President Pence.
No,
they're going to step back into power.
Nah, no, they don't want that to happen. Because here's the thing: they can work with a crazy Republican more than they can any conservative or any liberal, any Democratic nominee. And you got to point it back to the people, man. That's where the blame is, because it's gotten so divisive that if you are seen as working with the other side, you are seen as weak, and you are elected out of office. So
you can't be seen as losing control of your candidate?
Right. So they had to go with the crazy Republican because at least that's a chance of making something work versus a Democrat that you either just roll over or you try and work with them and get elected out of office.
Or is it the long con?
What's the long con?
All right, you went crazy. Crazy didn't work for you.
Con what? I'm talking about the people.
No,
the fucking people that are so divisive that they can't stand to have politicians that they feel on their side working with the other side. That's what fucking government is.
Long con from the right. Like, all right, we gave you crazy. Here's insane. Oh, didn't work out. All right, here's a nice warm glass of milk in the form of Paul Ryan in 2020.
To what I'm talking about, though.
Ted Cruz.
I'm not talking about what the Republicans' intentions were. We're talking about the idea that why they're working with Trump is ultimately because the people that elected them are holding them responsible to get whatever Republican they put up.
But that's what I'm saying. And they're going, all right, American people, we'll go along with your crazy reality television star. And when this doesn't work, you'll love it when we shove Paul Ryan at you in 2020. Look at his eyes. Aren't they so blue? Yeah. He's not crazy. He toes the party line. Like they're going to work with him to teach us a lesson. Don't you ever do that again, America.
Isn't that basically just a version of what I said? Even if he doesn't get himself impeached or taken out of office or removed from office,
right.
If he makes such a clusterfuck of his presidency, and the Republicans feel they have an in to run someone else, they will.
You're right, Rich.
Believe me, the Republicans don't want him. The hardcore old guard Republicans don't want him in there anymore.
But him getting impeached is not good for any Republican. It's just not.
Okay, but he's
Chances
already proved that he's willing to blow up the Republican Party.
We knew that.
He wants.
They know that. That's the thing.
If Donnie makes something of this and they have a chance to get somebody else in 8 years, that's what they're thinking. If he gets impeached, especially in his first term, then they have very little chance of winning future elections for a little while because their side is seen as corrupt because they let it happen.
But they can position him and say, look, he was an outsider who wormed his way into our party. He's not part of the real Republicans. He's not a real Republican.
Oh, yeah, the old guard, for sure they can do that.
The capacity for Republicans to be two-faced and turn against and say, oh, I always thought he was crazy. I was just doing this because, it's what the people want. That's endless, yeah. Of course it's going to happen. But I really don't think that's part of the plan is to...
I bet Mitch McConnell gets a daily anger jerk in that Donald Trump is the president.
Right.
I can't believe that guy's the president!
I don't think that it's feasible, and I don't think that that Republicans think it's feasible for Donald Trump to get impeached and have Mike Pence step in and continue on and get anything done.
But
because even if you can't vote him out of office right away, you can vote in Democrats into office to block anything that he puts through.
We're back to the long con here. Do you think that maybe they thought of this when they picked Pence?
No. Do I think that they're forward-thinking people? Do I think that they plan for the future in any fucking way? These people that deny global science on climate change, that stymie the education in this country.
I realize what I just asked you.
Do I think they give a fuck about the next generation or what's to come tomorrow?
I just asked you if Republicans are forward-thinking.
No! They're trying to think on their feet, and they're doing a shit job of it. I cannot buy into this long con thing. There's no long con. There's no big game.
The party that thinks climate change is a lie.
The biggest problem with government conspiracy is they're not that fucking smart.
Creationism should be in schools. Yes, I'm sorry. Nobody has thought forward for years on the Republican side.
They don't.
See, I'll take the bait and go the other side. I think they think forward enough to think about how much money they're going to make before they die, and it's about as forward as they think. How much power are they going to accumulate before they fucking...
How long can they hold on to office? What job can they get after? And how many transsexual people can they get to pee on them at once?
Well, that's some House of Cards shit.
So anyway, I'm calm now.
Hey, man, we've all blown our tops ever since fucking the Fuhrer has taken over, so don't worry. It's happened to all of us at least once. One of the things I do think is interesting is that he's only been in office for a little over a month, and I'm seeing reports from all sides of the media. Well, excuse me, both sides of the media. Let me stop trying to act like there's more than two sides. About the local town hall people, these town halls that these politicians are having, Mitch McConnell being one of them, and they're just getting savaged by people who voted for Trump, who are like, basically going, what the fuck are you people doing? You had one guy stand up.
Wait, Trump supporters that are mad at Mitch McConnell for what?
At their senators, at their congressmen, for just the way shit has gone in the time since Trump's taken over.
Right. It's your first day in America?
They're getting up and they're bitching about, okay, so you said you were gonna replace Obamacare with something. You have no idea what you're gonna do. You just want to snatch Obamacare from us. We're on Obamacare.
It's been 4 weeks. Right. The wheels of government turn really slowly. Is this your first day here, people?
But do you understand that these are their own fucking cheering section that is doing this to them this quickly? That's what's interesting to me.
Because the Trump supporters, their understanding of this deal, which you should always, negotiate these things out loud. But their understanding of this deal was that, hey, we vote for this egomaniac into office because we know that we already have a good system of Republicans in there that can control and shape him. And it turns out they can't. They don't have, all he needs is to talk to Bannon and get an idea and talk to somebody else to help him actually type up a presidential decree and sign it and smile and pose. And his job is done as far as he's concerned. They don't, if they wanted to constantly try and fight everything that he puts forward, then they're going to have their constituents mad at them. If they don't do anything, they have absolutely a right to be mad about things like healthcare. It's a mess and nobody had any good ideas about it except for, let's go back to the old way when it was even shittier. So
I pose this question to these people, and I've done it before. You really think they're unringing that bell? My insurance premium is twice what it was before, 2011. All right? Think they're gonna repeal it and I'm gonna go back to paying half of what I was? No. So even if they do repeal it,
right.
Well, and as an interesting aside, when I hear people say that, what you just said, Chris, the only thing I hear from the left is what Obamacare did was keep the premiums from rising at an even quicker rate than they have rose.
Right. Yeah.
And the only thing I hear from the right was, well, of course the premiums went up because insurance always goes up. What are you talking about?
I paid the same thing for 6 years after 2000.
I'm just saying what I've heard from people trying to explain to pacify people like you who get up and go, well, this is bullshit. And they go, well, here's our reasoning from our point of view and from the other people's point of view. And I'm just sitting there going, really? I don't remember my car insurance ever going down. It only goes up. I mean, that's just all there is to it. When I first started driving, I had full coverage for $98 a month. Try finding at 17 years old with hardly any driving record. Try finding that shit these days. That ain't happening, especially here in Michigan. So, I mean, it's the nature of the beast, but at the same time, this isn't the bill of goods we were sold. Once again, we were sold one thing and we settled for another, and we really didn't settle. We were forced to settle for this.
Yeah, we were told it was going to keep costs down. That's how it was packaged to us. It's going to keep costs down in an industry where the costs are rising.
In an industry where I don't think historically there's ever been across the board premiums go down, like at a significant rate. Health insurance, healthcare has never, the cost of healthcare has never went down in my lifetime. I don't think it's ever went down, period. It just kept going up and up. I mean, maybe because we have urgent care centers now that are open 24/7. If it's not a life-threatening thing, you don't have to go to the ER. You can go there, and if you got $100 in your pocket, they'll at least stitch you up and send you on your way, versus going to the ER and getting a $5,000 bill a week later.
Yeah. Well, to me, that's not even the real problem with healthcare. It's all about prescription drugs. And the solution is simple. Open it up internationally. Get some real competition. Science is not going to die. The development of new pills and new cures and everything is not going to wither because of too much competition. It's healthy. And you're taking care of like a major portion of people's monthly, on top of paying for health insurance. They're sometimes also paying hundreds of dollars worth of just copays for their medication. For medications that even you pay out of pocket, they're hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dollars. And you can buy this shit online from India. And it's the same shit. And our government tries to tell us, or even from Canada. We used to be able to get shit from Canada easily. Mm-hmm. And the government was like, well, you don't know what they put in their drugs. And I'm like, well, I don't see thousands of Indians or Canadians just falling over dead. So I think they're doing okay. Apparently, it's okay to drive a car that was built in whatever country 80 miles an hour on the freeway. But we don't know what they put in the pills. They could be putting mind-controlled drugs in it. This is how the Russians are spying on us. They're putting nanites in the pills.
The Canadians are putting subliminal or mind-controlled drugs in the pills, so we all start eating at Tim Hortons more.
But
watching Junior High.
No, they're dosing the ice caps. That's why they're so delicious.
But this will never happen because the three pillars of the prescription drug company's budget are based on research, which is probably the smallest, advertising dollars, which is one of the bigger sections of that pie, and probably equally as big, money just fucking handed out to politicians through lobbyists and paying and straight up paying off doctors and giving them gifts to promote their prescriptions. They spend an insane amount of money on that shit. So that's what we're paying for. We're paying hundreds and sometimes thousands of dollars for prescriptions that some people need just to survive from month to month.
You company man!
You're paying for your politician to get a blowjob and a steak dinner, and your doctor to get a whole bunch of pens.
Well,
and taken to the strip club.
Okay, explain to me, because I don't want to come down on a side until I feel like I understand the subject a little bit better. Mm-hmm. But and this is an open question to either of you guys. Okay, as pretty much libertarians, you guys always talk about the free market, and the free market invites competition. From what I gather, the free market means less regulation. Now,
it doesn't. Well, it depends on what you describe as regulation. That's kind of a broad term.
Okay. I guess I mean to where. Well, I guess that's what I'm asking. I mean, what
too high
what is
taxes,
good regulation? What is bad regulation?
Well, actually dictating how business does their business, or taxing them too high in situations that makes it impossible to do things certain ways. That's where government needs to get the fuck out of the way. If you're talking about how, the types of emissions and quantities that factories are allowed to output, or, where they can dump their toxic waste, yeah, I'm for some government regulation. I'm very liberal in that sense. So, but when it comes to actual business practices outside of, let's say, monopolies, I think that's something that the government has proven that they actually do fairly well in this country. And I would like to see them continue that practice. But trying to control trade through exorbitant taxes, absolutely not. It's restrictive to business. It's anti-global economy, which is the future. It's not just a choice. It's an inevitable. So, yeah, I guess I don't know exactly where the libertarian line is drawn there, and if I straddle it or if I've crossed it. But that's my basic feeling on it. Does that explain my position, Rich?
It does, because I have a friend I used to be in a band with who he took a job that he traveled the world, and I didn't see him for like 5 years, and he came back, and he is the hardest of hardcore libertarian I've ever known in personally, and he believes in deregulating everything to where, open borders, to where there is like no taxation, and I'm like, whoa, well, how are we? Okay,
that's not a plausible.
That's anarchy.
How do we get? Yeah, that's what I told him. I said, dude, you're talking anarchy, because if we have no infrastructure in this country, it'll crumble within 5 to 10 years, completely. And I'm not talking the country itself. I'm talking roads, the waters, utilities being delivered and the ways they delivered. If there's no infrastructure and there's no money for it, where the fuck is that going to come from? Millionaires are just going to...
That's not libertarianism.
Pony up shit?
No, the libertarians are adults that understand that you get something for your tax dollar, and you should have a say in how that tax dollar is spent and what your government does with it. It's not about, don't tax me. I worked for this lady, actually. I worked at an art supply store in Dearborn, and the manager that hired me there was, I don't know what her political affiliation was. And I was like early 20s. So this was actually one of 3 jobs that I was working at the time, just because I could, because I didn't seem to need sleep. And, I had plenty of money to spend on records and drugs. I remember the manager telling me that she was having problems with the government and her taxes, or rather the fact that she doesn't pay any taxes.
Well, there's your first problem.
It started with her having a conflict with the company, because this was a chain of stores, and because they were taking tax money out of her check, and she told them not to. Right? Says, no, I'm not paying taxes. Her and her husband, who lived in Warren, were she told me that, like, nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the government has any right to institute
one of these people?
Income tax or sales tax or any kind of Social Security or anything like that. These are all illegal moves by the government that are unconstitutional.
You can't own slaves in the Constitution either, but we don't.
Okay, so like the Bible,
actually, it became an amendment.
The Constitution can be interpreted different ways.
Interpreted?
Yes. if you can interpretate that.
Is that how that person talked?
Right. So you're technically correct, but also look around you and realize the country that you're in. Okay.
Taxes pay for civilization.
This is what we're doing, and we're all in on it. And if we're not all in on it, and somebody's going against the grain, that's fine. People go against the grain.
Hey, something had to buy that traffic light. Something paid for this yellow paint to paint these lines on the road. Someone had to pay that dude to do that. Someone's going to pay these cops.
Yeah. So I don't know what... I think I remember the word libertarian being tossed around there, but that's not libertarian, at least not libertarians that I've met and have experienced reading or following on Twitter or whatnot.
And I'm kind of where you're at as far as government being involved. Like, let me run my business. As long as I'm not breaking any laws, let me run my business. Let me give you my share of taxes that you want.
That's why so many libertarians are being stripped off the Republican Party, because they used to be the party of small government. Mm-hmm. And they don't even say it now. Like, they said it, Bush said it, but he didn't believe it. And he sure didn't show it. And now,
but there should
Trump
be things,
isn't even saying it.
There should be things in place to protect abuses, like you said, like emissions, abusing the people that work for you, things like that, workplace regulations. Right. I mean, it should...
Because if you're going to treat a corporation like a person, then it has certain limits to its rights, just like we all do.
Like, people are your greatest resource, and they have the right to feel safe. Like,
right.
I'm all for that kind of regulation. Like,
the concept of my right to swing my fist stops at your face.
Correct.
Right? And the business's right to do business as they please stops at actually poisoning the environment and making people less healthy.
If I'm not breaking any laws or hurting it, if I'm not hurting anybody or breaking any laws, let me run my business. But that's, I think regulation comes in for your less scrupulous people who would just fuck everybody over at every turn just to make a dollar. That's where I think regulation is a handy dandy tool.
Well, I guess a lot of this comes from, I just listened to an interview with Charlie LaDuff recently, where they were talking about the proposed skyscraper being put up.
Was it on Drew's podcast that he was on? Yeah. I was listening to that today.
And him and Drew basically...
He said, who needs a fucking skyscraper? There's bigger problems.
They had a debate that is as close to an argument as I've heard those two ever have. And Charlie said something... Well, Drew asked him, he goes, okay, so what do you want, would you rather they don't put the money into putting a new building downtown? It's going to bring jobs and this and that. What would you rather them do with it? And Charlie goes, invest it in people. If you're going to ask me if I'm going to want to invest millions of dollars of taxpayer money into a building for a private citizen to make a profit that he wants to build or put it back into the people, I'm always going to choose the people.
Yeah.
And that was like, ding. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm not I'm too verbose to come up with something that quick and easy. But I'm just like, damn, that describes perfectly how I feel.
Yeah.
Why are we doing this shit when we have schools falling apart, neighborhoods falling apart, roads falling apart?
Because, I understand the concept of having theaters, stadiums, places where people can gather. I mean, this is what cities should be, right? This definitely should be a priority for any city. But to make that a priority while the people around it are just wasting away is shameful. To not understand that it's not about their concept of it is, well, we build this up and we build it up for everyone, right? A rising tide raises all boats. No. Some people don't have boats and they just drown.
But the other part of this conversation is, how does a town exist? You need things for the people who live in the neighborhood to go work at. Okay. To help sustain, to patronize.
Yes. Here's one for you.
Because how many towns have collapsed when things to work at have left? Look at Flint.
There's a simple answer to your question. It's called a grocery store. Some people think they're convenience stores. That's not a grocery store. What you see in Detroit, that corner store that's got 2-year-old peanut butter on the shelves with an inch of dust on it.
Yeah, exactly. You go to Detroit, most party stores sell half-ass groceries, ghetto groceries.
Yes.
And like you said, it's
unhealthy, high fructose shit. Mm-hmm. It's disgusting. I mean, there have been some improvements downtown where we've seen grocery stores in little livable, walkable communities. But when it's all branching out from the college where all the people from outside of the city come in to either go to school or live around there, it does show your priorities. And
it's got to start somewhere.
It does have to.
How does it start in the neighborhoods if there's nowhere for these people to go work or to patronize?
You can have both, though. And the shops, a coffee house, nice places to do laundry that's near campus or something like that. Yeah, that's great. Those are things that we should have. We should also have more grocery stores in low-income areas that not only employ people locally, but give easy access to healthy, affordable groceries. A basic need for everybody. And we don't have that. So do we need a skyscraper?
They left.
Do we need a skyscraper more than do we need grocery stores in Detroit? No. And that's just one example of how you can build up things in the city to actually support communities and to support a community movement. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do things to bring people in, because you should always do that as a city as well. And
but I guess you say you get enough people to support the grocery store from something like this. That is another thing to attract for people to work in the city, to live in the city.
I'm saying the development's so localized, right? It doesn't branch out into fucking 7 Mile where it looks like a fucking war zone.
Also, I think we've kind of lost track of the issue here that Charlie was trying to get at, which was
what's that?
He has no problem with if a business person wants to build a skyscraper. He has a problem with taxpayers' dollars from the city of Detroit going to subsidize that to guarantee he makes a profit versus taxpayers' money going back into the people of Detroit who paid the taxes. Look, that's where my problem lies. Don't get me wrong. I love sports. Do I think it's bullshit that most cities that build new sports venues have to foot the bill because they want to make sure owners can turn a profit on it? Right. Yeah. I'm sorry. Look. Just give me 1 second. Okay, you build something like the new Red Wings arena.
Yes.
And you bring in the Pistons, which that deal isn't done. It's going to get done, but it's not done, legally. It's not a lock they're going to be there. Okay, there's 82 games a season in both leagues, if I'm correct. So it's 41 games, home games. So out of 365 days of the year, you have 82 days that you are guaranteed to have events there, right? Now, what are you doing with that building the rest of the time? Because guess what? Just like Joe Louis Arena had something ridiculous like a 5,000 or was it 50,000? I can't remember. Maybe I'm dropping a zero. Water bill to the city of Detroit when all that water shit happened. This building's sucking up resources, and it's not putting anything into the economy, into the community.
Right.
It's just sitting there empty for a third of the fucking year. More than that. Even if you put concerts in for another 100 days, 180 days out of 365, and 100 concerts a year at a venue like Joe Louis Arena, I don't think Joe Louis Arena's seen 100 concerts in a year in our lifetime.
It's a shitty place to see a band, too.
I mean, even the Palace, it doesn't see 100 concerts a year. I mean, if you really think about it, look at DTE. Did they even, and I understand they're only open it's a seasonal venue, but I mean, do they even get 100 shows in? Or is it more like 80? I mean, there's days where they don't have a show, and then you gotta consider, festivals that, last a day or two or whatever the fuck. I mean, it's just, to me, I would rather gamble on using taxpayer money to help the people who are paying taxes so they can continue to have upward mobility. So ultimately, they do better. They pay more taxes. We grow the tax base. That makes sense to me. Maybe I'm not an economist.
Yeah, give them enough slack so they can actually get their own boat so that they do rise with the tide.
Well, stop putting people in your local government that rob you blind.
Oh, yeah, that's the first.
Because, I mean, Duggan's there. Duggan's doing all right. He's got his things swirling around him. But the problem is, too, if you talk about Detroit, the problem is, too, the city council. It's a part-time job, and so these people are pulling down full-time salaries. I mean, that's...
Detroit is a perfect microcosm of what I think Detroit went through, what the rest of the country either has now gone through or is still going through in certain areas, probably more rural areas that are getting more populous. But Detroit, used to be the manufacturing center of the United States, arguably of the world at one point. People worked for one of the big three. They lived there. And as people from down south and from other parts of the country moved in, well, you had non-white people move in, and you had white flight, and you had a lot of policies. I mean, people talk about the riots in '67. There was riots in the 1890s and riots in the 1940s in Detroit that were over race. Those somehow get lost when we talk about history. So Detroit's already got a fucking sketchy past when it comes to race. So then eventually...
Yeah, but third time was apparently the charm because that one stuck.
Well, it did. And with that one came the last until Mike Duggan of the white mayors. And then you got in Coleman Young. And Coleman Young was nothing more than a response, an angry response to how black people have been shit on for the previous how many hundreds of years in the city of Detroit. And white people were like, well, then fuck it. We're taking our fucking ball and going to the suburbs later. And then what did we have? I mean, it's people go, oh, you'll never have, before Duggan, and they said, I'd go out of state, oh, you'll never have another white mayor in Detroit. And I agreed with them. I didn't think there was a white mayor that could get elected.
I thought he had, no chance of winning.
Well, he could thank Kwame.
Honestly, I thought there would be a Hispanic mayor before I'd ever see a white mayor, just because you have Mexican Village in Southwest. And maybe as the city keeps emptying out, the people that are there that are leaving in the last 10, 15 years are predominantly black. So that means even more people can move in who are maybe Latino or something. And I thought that would be the demographic shift, not that that city would ever vote in a white mayor.
I think it was just coming to terms with the fact that the people of Detroit have been voting with race as a primary issue, to the exception of nobody else of any other race other than black could get elected in that city for the longest time. And what they realized that those same black people that they were electing into office were ruining their city. They were driving it into the ground and lining their pockets in the process.
Well, it goes back to what we said about, when Obama got elected.
It doesn't mean the white guy is not going to do it, but at least let's start with being open to every race and just looking at their ideas and their credibility.
When Obama got elected, they had people on the news. And yes, Chris, it goes back to what you said earlier in the show. They always pick the worst people to put on the news. Why? Because it's going to make you not change the channel when you hear the most ignorant person in the world on there.
Same reason they put the shitty singers on American Idol or whatever.
Exactly. Those are the highest rated shows in the entire season. That's why they do it. But, people, oh, we got one. One of us are in there. We won. Fast forward 4 years. Where's my Obama prize? You don't get one, dude. It's not how this world works. I know you've been sold a bill of goods that says it's how it works, and comedians have told you for years and years that, if a white dude gets pulled over, that he can wave a gun in a cop's face, tell him to suck his dick, and then he fucked his wife in the ass and all this shit, and they just go, sorry, we let you off with a warning. That's not reality. That's
talk about it at the meetings, right? That's part of the white privilege.
But I mean, it's slowly, I think people are starting to come around to oh shit, all this bullshit I've been sold, and the fact that we are one of the most segregated areas in this country it has really been able to let these ideas take root. that, granted, I'm not arguing that there is no white privilege, but the idea that somehow, since you're white, you can act any type of way you fucking feel and get away with it, that reality has now set in for a lot of people that it wasn't there 20 years ago. Chris Rock made a whole career of going, white people do this, black people do this, and it was extreme examples. The problem is people took them seriously. It's a joke, folks. It's an exaggeration of the truth. I ask anybody. I mean, flat out, we talked about it. Those two guys in Dearborn who cussed out the cops while they were heavily armored in body armor. All four of us, Jay included, Mr. Gunman himself on the show, were like, I'm surprised they didn't light them motherfuckers up.
Yeah, I'm surprised we weren't watching a murder when we were being shown that video. Hey, two guys got shot at the Dearborn cop station today. Check this out.
Right, didn't Jay say that they had a heads up, though? Like, the cops were aware of who these guys were because they pull shit like this.
Yeah.
And somebody gave them a heads up that they were on their way over.
And let's be honest here, I think because they had that heads up, because these guys are known to be shit stirrers like that, they handled them with kid gloves to keep the bad press away. I mean, if this was just two guys who just walked in with no heads up, no warning, into a police station.
They released that video, it didn't get leaked.
Well, no, but what I'm saying
proud
is
of what they did.
Let Chris and I just throw on body armor, ski mask, and open carry an AR-15 and sidearms and walk into, I don't know, St. Clair Shores police station without any type of warning.
Oh, yeah.
And let's see if we don't get killed before we get 10 yards into the place.
Scooping my brains up off the floor.
I mean, that's...
You'd be bringing flowers every year on the year anniversary to the police station, just placing them with a single tear. So, I don't know. Maybe, I guess it's hope. It's a good thing that we're starting to get rid of these, bullshit stereotypes on both sides that we think, that, if
Are we?
how can we not, man?
I don't know.
Seriously. I mean, think about it. During the Kwame years, can you imagine them electing a white mayor?
Yeah, okay. Back to what we were talking about in Detroit. I get
you.
you.
Never.
Yeah.
I thought I was thinking as a nation, I'm like, I'm not so sure we're there.
No. And like I said, I think Detroit went through what a lot of communities are still going through or have just, they've caught up to Detroit now because of the nature of how many jobs were here. And these were manufacturing jobs that you didn't need to be an engineer to come in here and work. It's not like the tech market out in the North Pacific Northwest. These were jobs that people from down south, that's how my family ended up here. They couldn't find jobs down there, at least jobs that were legal that could support their family. And they heard, hey, up in Detroit, they're hiring for these, factories up here. Why don't we go up there? So they packed everybody up in a car, drove up there, got a job, and that's just where we stayed. I mean, and you think poor white people did it. You don't think poor black people did that? I mean, that's how we have the mixture of people we have in races in Detroit. I mean, you really think about it. As segregated as the neighborhoods are, I mean, Hamtramck used to be Polish. Corktown used to be Irish. You had Mexican Village. It says it all you need to know. I mean, there's
all the Arabic people lived in Dearborn.
Brightmoor Brightmoor's still got a lot of white trash in it, which you would consider white trash, which the general populace would consider them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, Dearborn, the largest concentration of Middle Eastern people in the country, is right in our backyard. And for as segregated as we are, it's still a pretty diverse area if you just look at the metro area as a whole. And you don't look at the fact that, yes, if you go into certain parts of Dearborn, you're going to be hard-pressed to find some signs in English, or if you go to, Corktown, everything's got an Irish slant to it, or Mexican Village, or Greektown, whatever.
Have you seen that video it's on YouTube or somewhere on the internet, the guy driving through Dearborn, like, I can't believe this is America.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yes. What? Yes.
Oh, Aaron.
Yes.
We gotta show you this. This is a racist with a video camera.
Well,
this is a racist with a GoPro. Like,
I lived in Detroit for a number of years, and I'm not claiming some sort of understanding of the city because of the the time in my 20s that I spent there. But I didn't experience any racism of any kind going either way from anyone that lived in the city. People from outside the city, yeah, absolutely.
I guess I have to apply the Chris theory of, if I reverse the situation, would I call it racism? Because I don't think I experienced like systemic racism, institutionalized racism. But yeah, when I lived in Detroit, I'd go to the store and I'd hear, some drunk dude, especially you go in later at night, some drunk dude like, the fuck you looking at, white boy? Now flip that around, put that person in Livonia, and you hear, what the fuck you looking at, black boy? Oh my God, we're going to have the problem solvers from channel 2, 4, and 7 down there before the fucking incident's over with.
Right.
I mean, was I oppressed because of that? No. I just knew if I saw this motherfucker, he's drunk, he's obnoxious.
If you want to call that racism, then yeah, I experienced that. But I mean,
but once again, I mean,
that's racism light.
Yeah,
There's no calories in it.
It's just on the surface.
It's the tab of racism. Yes,
it's casual racism.
It's that good old casual racism. Yes. But I mean, shit like that's bound to happen. You can run into an asshole no matter where you're at. Especially when you add alcohol and late night to it. You don't know what the fuck you're going to run into. How many bar fights happen in all white neighborhoods?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, hey, Rich, you follow Drew's cast. Then did you hear the story about what was the restaurant in Grosse Pointe?
Oh, Bluefin?
Bluefin.
Yeah. So what do you make of that story? Because I keep going back and forth because you keep hearing different facts from different sides. But overall, I mean, from the way the manager reacted. Okay, so for those who don't know, we should explain the story. Apparently, some patrons were hanging out at the bar for a while after they ate.
Racist.
And they were the only black people, these 3 women.
They claimed to be the only black people.
Okay, so that's debated.
They ended up being 3 of 11.
No, the video camera proved that there was a black couple dining right behind them.
Okay.
They could have literally turned around and touched them if they wanted to. Right.
Well, they were basically asked to leave because they were taking too long. Now restaurants, they're all about turnover. That's how they make their money. Get you in, get you out.
Yeah.
And if you're hanging out and drinking and constantly, then that's great. Go to the bar, hang out. But if you're just nursing something and taking up a seat, then yeah, they want to get you the fuck out. But now the way that the manager handled it, though,
their tab was allegedly closed, and also there's apparently a policy at the restaurant that says you got an hour and 45 minutes, and it's stated on the menus. Like there was apparently some things left out of the story initially.
Right, and I'm unclear too as to the way that the manager reacted. It was apparently the niece of the owner, and
this is a rookie mistake. It was handled badly.
It was handled badly. It sounds like she maybe realized that what she was doing was going to come off as racist, and that's why she panicked and tried to. I guess she gave a business card to one of the women, and she tried to get it back from him, and because the manager lunged at the woman. That woman now wants to press assault charges against the manager because she tried to take a business card out of her hand. I don't think that qualifies as assault.
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I isn't assault and battery. Assault is threatening, and battery is the actual act of hitting them.
Isn't I'm going to kick your ass assault, and then kicking your ass is the battery?
Yeah. So, I mean, if she didn't threaten her, like, give me that fucking card or I'm going to beat the shit out of you, something along those lines, I don't know if that's assault. There's definitely no battery there. She didn't touch her from what the video said and from what the people making the complaint said. I mean, look, the thing is that for people who don't know, this was in, what is it, Grosse Pointe?
The Grosse Pointe, borders Detroit. And the sad thing is that this will probably affect their business very little. I mean, they definitely had some protests there, but in the long run, I think Bluefin's going to be okay.
But just for people who aren't from Detroit, Grosse Pointe is a very wealthy community that literally shares a border with Detroit.
Yes.
And the history of relations between the citizens of Grosse Pointe and Detroit is a sketchy one, and that's being as polite as I can be with it.
It's very testy. Yeah, I worked right like a half a block from the little farmers market that they set up to block off the end of the street so they didn't have to look at Detroit. And so
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
It would block incoming traffic.
We can see the pores from here.
Like all of a sudden I'm driving to work and I'm like, how come it's really easy to get out and get onto Kercheval, but if I have to get back in, I have to go the long way.
See, Donnie, don't build a wall. Build a farmer's market.
Right. To just have farmers markets going all up and down the border.
Then the Mexicans can work at the farmer's market.
Well, I think the interesting thing
tax
about
their
this,
wages, everybody wins.
The interesting thing about this story is that the security footage showed that the three women who were at the bar ordered an entree, and I think one ordered drinks, a few drinks. The other one was drinking water. And they were there for close to 2 hours.
Yeah.
They claim that, the general manager, the owner's niece, was very rude, racist, assaulted them, whatever.
I've heard no evidence of racism come out of her mouth. They're assuming that she's racist because she picked them to.
They didn't go, hey, darky, you got to go.
Well, wait. You didn't hear any evidence. You didn't hear the three women claim any.
No, she didn't hear any evidence of. Hasn't heard any evidence from the manager. Like there hasn't been a quote from the manager. Like,
yeah, the manager didn't say anything directly racist to them.
Hey, you black bitches gotta go. That quote does not exist.
The racism is implied by her singling them out to remove from the bar.
Exactly. Now here's the bitch of it. Maybe this is one of those fucking situations that the people are seeing things through their own glasses that are tinted in whatever way so much that they both think they're absolutely right.
Possibly tinted by their own experience of experiencing actual racism.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the general manager was thinking, look, you're sitting at the bar. We literally have patrons standing who've been standing for 40 minutes waiting to sit down at any place in this, because apparently there's only 11 tabletops in a bar at this place. I've never been. Apparently it's tiny.
You cashed out 45 minutes ago.
Yeah, and come on, let's keep it moving. On top of that, we have in our menu, we reserve the right to ask anyone to leave after they've, an hour and 45 minutes, because we have a high volume and limited seating. It says it right in the menu.
It's a popular place.
So maybe from her point of view, she was doing the right thing, and from these three ladies' point of view, they were like, well, they're fucking with us because we're three black people in Grosse Pointe sitting here at the bar. We're not hurting nobody. Well, the problem is that who's wrong in that situation? Who's right? Because both of them are viewing it through, like you said, the glasses that are tinted by their own experiences.
I think they're both overreacting.
I said, hey, you start spending money again, you can keep sitting here.
I agree with you. And as someone who's worked in the restaurant industry, one of the biggest complaints I ever hear from waitresses is, and I was guilty of it as a kid, I just didn't know any better, groups of
Okay, we're back.
Groups
of teenagers.
Groups of teenagers come in, order an appetizer. One, maybe, they order one drink each, and then they sit there for 2 hours.
Yes.
And that waitress is like, I'm just watching money fly out the window because I know they're hardly going to tip. They're broke teenagers.
Right.
And they're taking up
anyone else there.
Yeah, and they're taking up a six top.
I could have turned that table over 3 times.
And I didn't realize that until I got older, and I actually started working with waitresses, and I was like, they would come back, into the back and where I worked, and they're bitching, and I'm like, what are you bitching about? They're like, I'm not going to make any money off that fucking table. Look at the other waitress. She has to go by the seating chart. She's turned over the same size table 3-4 times. They're still sitting there. I'm basically paying for the privilege of serving them. And I'm like, oh shit, I never thought of it that way. And if you haven't worked in the industry, why would you think of it that way? You wouldn't know. You'd be surprised when people don't know how little waitresses and waiters make.
And the first thing, when I heard this story, the first question that came to my mind, just working in the restaurant industry for so many years, was like, are they cashed out? Yeah. Did they have a tab? If they had an open tab, then it's a shitty move. They didn't have an open tab. You've been sitting there for more than like 15 minutes. Oh man, like.
Yeah. Well, also, I was unclear as to whether there were people that were waiting.
Oh yeah, there were.
Okay.
The security footage,
Then get the fuck out, man! What?
Yeah, I heard 45 minutes. There was at least 4 or 5 couples standing there waiting to be seated somewhere. So that's just, yeah. I mean, that's just.
Even though the report from the 3 ladies was that there were open tables.
The video footage I watched, I didn't see it. Now, here's the thing: the video footage I watched was posted on a local news channel, on their website, and because I'm a masochist, I went down to the comment section, and instantly sides were chosen. There was no middle ground, and people who are on the side of the ladies say that
we're all a bunch of assholes now.
This is fake.
We don't trust this video. This video's been doctored. It's fake. It's not real. Anybody can do anything. It took 2 days to get this video out. So they had 48 hours to doctor it the way they wanted. Right. And then, of course, people on the side of the restaurant were like, well, they
called up ILM and were like, can I get 48-hour turnover and putting a bunch more people in my restaurant?
Yeah. Exactly. And make sure a few of them are black and put them right behind the black ladies who said there was no other black people there.
Yeah.
They're like, look, that one's Eddie Murphy.
Ving Rhames, isn't he dead?
Michael Clark Duncan.
Michael Clark Duncan. Sorry, but so yeah, and then the people who were on the side of the restaurant were like, "Look, it's a 30-minute security footage of the previous 27 minutes leading up to the incident right before they left with the supposed assault. What more do you want? You know what I'm saying? Like." It
is possible that there were tables open from time to time. I mean, you can have people waiting, and there'll be tables open, whether they're reserved or whether they're like, as they're lining shit up, there will be tables open.
My view is if you are cashed out, you have finished being a customer.
As a matter of fact, there has to be tables open. When have you ever been sat at a table and the waitress is like, here, let me just kick this couple out here. Hey, you guys got to leave. I'm sitting this couple down.
To me, that privilege of I'm a customer, I'm spending money. I'm a customer. To me, that privilege ends when you cash out. Haven't we all agreed? Like, that's the end of the contract? Didn't we all make the social agreement?
You buy your Slurpee and you hang out at 7-Eleven. Unless you know the person behind the counter, you're going to be asked to leave eventually.
Yeah,
exactly.
You go anywhere.
Like, if that's it. To me, if their tab is open, this isn't all right. That's a bad call, brother. From the restaurant. But if their tab is closed, shut the fuck up. I mean, I'll just say it because there's Bailey's in my coffee. We all work in Detroit. I guarantee you we've probably all been in a situation where the race card has been thrown and it had no reason to be thrown. And this sounds like it could have possibly been one of those situations.
That's what it sounds like.
But, I mean, once again, dude, like I said, maybe they didn't feel they were doing anything wrong. Maybe they don't know the unwritten contract rules or whatever, that we do. Like I said, I didn't know until I was in my 20s. I had no idea. I was like, oh, so now I get it. I've been an asshole all these years. That
I mean, these were mature professional women. So,
it's a new problem we have now. Everything is not because the other person is racist. Like it's just the racism card is just. It used to be something you held in your deck, and now you're leading with it. All right, you used to keep the race card till you were trying to win, win the hand, and now you're leading with it, trying to just fucking get everybody to fold before any bets are placed.
If this was 3 white women, they would be pissed, right? And they would go, I can't believe they asked us to leave. That's bullshit. But because they're black, they can go, well, now I have a way to get back at them.
Well, to address what you had just said is that, these are older women, apparently in their, mid-40s, somewhere around there.
Yeah, business owners.
Just, I guess I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not really. I'm just relaying something I've heard many times from people who are black of all ages, especially when they were my coworkers at restaurants, and they end up going, "Oh, I didn't know you were supposed to tip. I never knew you were supposed to tip the pizza guy. I never knew you were supposed to tip 15%."
What? Wait.
And the conversation comes up, and I'm like, "How the fuck do you not know that?" And they go, "Because no one in my family, we throw $1 a person down there. That's what we do. That's what I thought. That's what I thought you were supposed to tip. I didn't know." And it's like, well, now that you know, let me ask you a question. Do you tip? And they go, well, fuck yeah, especially since I've worked the job. And I'm like, do you tell people that? Like, if you're with your family and you see people throwing $1 down and they say, there's 8 people there.
You go, hey, motherfucker.
Hey, these people make shit. You don't like that? Okay, then vote and get them a raise. But until then, you're ripping these people off. They're basically paying to serve you. And, do you tell them that? Yeah. Okay. Well, then I can't. That's fair. You can't ask any more than that. You can't force someone to tip.
Right. I think it's
one at a time, Rich. One at a time.
It's a shitty setup. I mean, it is, but your response shouldn't be to try and buck the system by not tipping. Fuck them.
Hey, I'm going to rip this waitress off because fuck the man. That's the mentality you run into a lot of times.
Because this is a situation that costs you very little to play into. Okay, all right, if I want good service, apparently I have to be the one to pay the waitress. So, pay the fucking waitress and get some good service. That's all there is to it.
I've heard this. I don't know if it's true, but I've heard different acronyms that TIP supposedly stands for: to ensure prompt service, to ensure promptness, whatever. Okay. To ensure politeness, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But
to ensure penis? Huh?
Well, I mean, hey.
Isn't it always about just getting some respect?
Well, I mean, let's be honest here. If you've ever worked in an industry where you rely on tips for your income, you tend to develop a long memory. And I may not give you, I'm not going to fuck with your food. I'm not going to fuck with your, be a dick and not give you the service that you're going to get anyways, but you're not going to get it first. I'm going to tell you that right now. If you're a regular and you come in and you order, let's say you spend $50 a week and you leave me a $2 tip, well, guess what? I'm going to hit every other table I got first and ask them if they need a refill or anything else, and I'm going to hit you last. And that's going to be every time.
If your delivery comes up and I know you never tip, I'm taking my time.
If I have 3 deliveries in the car, guess who's getting last?
Yeah. You want to get served at the bar, right? Go up, order your drink, give her a $5 the first time. Give her $1 on every drink after that. Totally fair. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg, and you're going to get drinks when you want them. You're going to be a priority for that bartender. She's going to remember you and appreciate what you did.
Yeah, exactly. Unless you drink like me.
You want to look at it buying service? Sure, yeah, that is what you have to buy service.
Hey, and
you think you just deserve to be served to everywhere you go?
Open bar ain't open bar. Open bar is dollar drinks if you're doing it right.
Absolutely.
My sister's a waitress out in Vegas, and they comp your drinks as long as you're gambling in Vegas. And I talked to her about it, and she goes, "Oh, there's been a lot of sober people that left my table that don't tip." She's like, "That's just all there is to it. If I'm serving you doubles, every 15 minutes, and you're not even throwing me $1, you're only going to get 2 doubles, and then you're going to wait for that third one. I got a lot of other people who are willing to tip me." And I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah, I'll invite 2 doubles. I'll move on.
And then
a nice buzz. I'll go get 2 more from someone else.
Well, and that's what I said. I said, and I was going to say to Aaron, about what Aaron said. Unless you're like me and you drink like I used to, I go up, I order 2 beers, throw down $2. 10 minutes later, I'm back. I order 2 more beers, throw down $2 more.
Yeah.
By the end of the night, they're like, "You've had 20 beers and I've made $20 off you." Okay, fair enough. I mean, I got you. But yeah, if you're a normal drinker and you're only going to drink 3 or 4 beers tops, throw down a $5 the first time. If it's that important, the minute you walk up to the bar, they come over to you. That's exactly what you're right, Aaron. You pay for service.
I'm cheap and I'll wait.
But see, I think a lot of people tend to get
I always tip, but I'll wait. Like I'll give you $1 every time. I won't give you $5 the first time. I'll just I'll wait. You'll get $1 from me every time, but I'll wait my turn.
But I think a lot of people tend to forget that, like, we seem to have it ass backwards in this country. Like, okay, if you're on the other side of that bar or that counter and you're serving me, then I could be any way I want with you and you have to take it. And it's like,
no.
Did we somehow forget that back when we were children, there used to be signs, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone for any reason?
Just because you're spending money doesn't give you license to be an asshole. At some point, we've forgotten that. Like, we think that, well, I'm spending money, I get to be a giant, huge douche. No, that is not what we have all agreed on.
I read an opinion piece a while ago that was talking about just basically politicians in general. And they said one of the things that most Americans have forgotten is that we are not their servants. They work for us. They're our employees. And that's how it should be. Now, you can argue it's not how it is, but I mean, that's how it is. Same thing with, like, okay, a landlord situation. For whatever reason, if my landlord knocks on my door, my heart's in my throat. It's only been recently that I'm like, what the fuck am I worried about? My rent's paid. I didn't break any fucking rules.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if he's knocking on my door, well, what can I help you with? And if he starts giving me a hard time, look here, man, this is not what I paid for. Your job is not to harass me. Do you get your rent when it's due? Yes. Do I follow all the rules that you say I had to follow to stay in your place? Yep. Then you don't get to come here and be an asshole.
What the problem is?
Exactly. Yeah, and if you got a problem with it, I'll see you in court.
The market is very much in favor of the landlord at the moment.
Unless you squat.
Yes, at the moment, yeah. But I mean,
we'll see. Hopefully that'll change.
But I mean, it's just
been on the uptick. It's just if Trump can keep it going.
It's just I think a lot of people forget that, and I know we've talked about it. We had to have at some point. Just if you're listening and you're one of those people who treat people who handle your food or make your food or serve you your food like shit, just know at some point you've eaten spit, pubic hair. They've fondled their sweaty balls because there's no air conditioning ever on a fucking cook line, and they fucking handled their sweaty balls and then handled your food without washing their hands.
You've eaten someone else's feces.
Yes. And basically, I have no sympathy for you because you get what you're asking for. Sorry. I mean,
I say please, thank you, have a nice day.
Now, I'm not talking about someone who has a problem with their order and sends it back. I'm talking about someone who walks in with the fucking scowl and is already pissed off.
I'm spending money. Servant, come here, take my order.
That movie Waiting's perfect. The last 5 times we've come here, our order's been wrong. Well, then why didn't you come back a 6th?
Well, maybe it's you, cunt. 5 tries, we can't get your order right. Maybe it's you. But I've been in the service industry for far too long.
Do you guys get upset over special orders? Like,
only when they're pretentious.
It kind of drives me nuts in most situations. I can understand there's like a allergy, but people use that as an excuse for everything now. But most places you go for food, they have a pretty wide selection. And there's no problem ordering your burger without pickles or how you want it. Any place does it how you want it now, not just Burger King.
No, shit like that. That's never bothered me.
I'm bringing it back around to don't lie to me. All right, telling me my son is deathly allergic to tomatoes, so I can't have sauce on one side of the pizza. Bitch, everything in this restaurant has touched a tomato. Your son, if he really was allergic to tomatoes, would keel over if he ate anything that came out of anything in this place. It has all touched a tomato at some point. Don't lie to me.
But there's my favorite item was discontinued. So I'm now going to find a way to make you make it. And sometimes it's successful.
Oh, see.
Not. You know what I'm talking about?
Hey, no,
yes.
That doesn't bother me.
You guys do this?
That doesn't bother me because I give you points.
I don't know any guys who do this.
I give you points for ingenuity. You figured it out. I will make your item.
Okay,
sometimes
hold on. I do this exactly at one place.
Tostadas were extinct for a while, and Yeah.
I had to order them.
I was like, take a Mexican pizza and don't put any green onions on it. And, anyway, go on.
I go to Del Taco. They used to have these jacked up chicken soft tacos. It was basically a chicken soft taco with verde sauce and pepper jack cheese.
Right.
And they took them off the menu. And I'm using air quotes as I say that. But they really didn't. They're still on the menu. They're in the
you can order shit,
Fiesta pack of the menu. It's literally still on their point of sale screen. And I always go to the same Del Taco. If I go during a certain time of day, the manager knows me. The minute she hears my order, she knows it's me, and she's like, right, pull around, and good to go without a discussion. If I go at a different time of day, I'm that asshole who has to try to now build this out of something else. So I go, let me get the chicken soft taco without the special sauce, but add the green sauce. And can I get no cheddar, add pepper jack? And I've literally heard people go, okay, your total's so-and-so, pull around.
There's not a picture for what you want on my screen.
But it's the same thing with working at some of the pizza places and stuff I've worked at. We discontinue a certain pizza, and they go, well, can I get that? And I'm like, yeah, you can get that, but it's just I can't give you that exact same coupon price because we no longer carry that pizza at that price.
It's now $35 pizza, but yes, you can still get it.
And I'll work with them. I mean, that's another thing. If you call a pizza place or some place like that, it's a pickup or a delivery place that has coupons. The politer you are, if you don't have a coupon, the better chance you're going to get coupon price. The ruder you are, they're going to do nothing to knock that price down.
I started out answering phones. If you were a dick, you got everything at straight up menu price. If you were nice, I automatically applied coupon price.
And let me tell you something. Because of Little Caesars $5 hot and ready, you should never pay menu price for a pizza at any pizza place.
I know, right? They expose the industry. They're like, hey, here's the real profit margins.
That's just the truth. So if you're paying full price, you need to have, eat an edible, get in a flotation tank, lose your ego, squeegee your third eye, look in the mirror, whatever the fuck you need to do because you're a fucking huge asshole of
It's all the same shit, people. It's all the same shit. No matter how fancy the place tries to tell you it is, it's all the same shit. It's just cooked different. They put it on in a different order. They have different recipes, but it's all the same shit.
Now, my problem, when you said special orders, it's not special orders, it's not special request. It's when someone's they'll call and they'll say, can I get 20 wings and I want them well done? Okay. You run them through 1.5 times. I'm just throwing numbers out there. 1.5 times through the oven is normal. So you put them through twice. And you hand them, they come in to pick them up. You hand them to them. They open the box. They look. They go, oh, that's good. They close the box. They pay for their order. They leave. 10 minutes later, the phone rings. I got home. These aren't done enough. I want 20 new wings. Well, first of all, you're going to have to bring back the food. We ate a couple. Well, what's a couple? 10? Well, wait a minute.
I know, right? We ate half of them and we want 20 more.
If I have 20 wings and I bite into one and it's not done enough, I might bite into another.
It took us eating half of these to figure out these weren't what we wanted.
Yeah, and if the other one isn't done enough, then I'm going to start doing the poke test.
Yeah.
These aren't crispy enough.
I would just eat it and...
Come on, don't bullshit me.
I mean, the difference between medium and well, just fucking eat it. And maybe be a little bit more explicit. Maybe next time you order, you go, hey, last time I asked for them well and they were medium. They still tasted good, but I really like them well done. So just, darken them up for me a little bit.
Oh, we do.
Is that bad if I said that to you? Or is that racist?
We have regular. Well, let's put it this way: if I never see you, I'm going to assume your race because it's just something that it in general it goes along the same lines. Chicken wings, most black people want crunchy.
Yep.
Or on the well done side, and they're
fried hard.
They're fried hard. That's yes. And then
watch out, we got another Milo on our hands here. Settle down, you racist.
Their pizza more on the lightly done side. And in my experience, white people want their pineapple's universal anymore, which is disgusting. But white people want their pizza more well done, and their wings not lightly done because it's chicken. You can't lightly do chicken; you'll die. But you know, they don't want it.
Hey, where the white women at?
You know, crunchy. I like them crunchy, so I tell them, "You got an oven or a fryer?" Once they tell me that, if I'm ordering from a new place, if they tell me a fryer, I'll be like, okay, fry them hard. If they have an oven, I'm like, run it through twice as long as you normally would.
Yeah, fry that shit hard.
And usually the first thing I get is they're going to look like cinders when they come out. I'm like, that's fine. That's how I want them. And they come out and they look like the fried chicken I got used to with a Southern family, fried hard.
I ran a store in Southfield, and I ran my wings through. It was standard procedure in my store to run them through twice all the time. Guess who's selling the most chicken wings in the area? Just saying.
I want to know some
Make
more.
Your own implications.
I want to get back to the pizza profiling. Who likes cheese more? Who orders the extra cheese?
Brothers.
Yeah, I'd say.
But it's on top of pork or beef.
Yeah.
Brothers like
I will say
beef. For some reason, the brothers like beef on a pizza.
I will say this.
Not my thing.
I can prove to you with food orders.
When I worked in Southfield, our garbage can pizza, which was our everything pizza, was a huge seller. When I worked in Westland, Wayne, Farmington Hills, it was more 2-3 toppings would be about the average.
Really?
Beef and banana peppers, man. Beef and banana peppers.
We used to call the garbage can
pepperoni and jalapeno.
That's jalapeno is an Indian thing.
That's pepperoni jalapeno. That's out west.
Or chicken and jalapeno.
Make your own
chicken and jalapeno is more of like when I worked at the Dearborn store. There was a lot of chicken and jalapeno.
Yeah, like that.
Donald Trump would build a wall to keep out people who like pepperoni and jalapeno pizzas, in my experiences.
But we used to call the Southfield store, when we'd get calls for this a lot. Yeah, I want a garbage can, add pineapple. That was our Southfield garbage can. That's what we called it. To the point where I was like, why don't we just add pineapple as the topping? Because easily 80% of people call and add that.
Right.
You know, and they were like, well, there's people who really hate pineapple on pizza. I'm like, I know, I'm one of them, but.
So they order it with no pineapple.
Yeah, it's if most of our customer base orders it this way, doesn't it make sense to cater to them versus the 20% that doesn't?
Yes.
Most stores, beef, it would take me a good 4 weeks to go through one case of beef. Store I ran in Pontiac, case a week. Don't know why. Just trust me, Southfield was going through beef just like regular. It's just
like a hamburger.
Yeah, some segment of brother somewhere in Michigan loves beef on a beef and
always a
beef and banana pepper.
I mean, you can supplement with other meats.
You could guarantee you were going to sell an order of wings with a beef and banana pepper pizza.
Actually, either pepperoni or chicken. You can start with either one of those as a base and build on that. But even bacon doesn't ride alone.
You got the weirdos that like bacon alone, and when they do, they're usually like, I want extra bacon on it.
Oh, and bacon with extra bacon.
Some people are just crazy bacons.
You could literally have a bacon bukkake on that pizza, and it's not enough bacon for them. So,
Bakaki.
But no, I mean, this is no joke. Chris is absolutely right. Except for I would throw in Italian sausage. Italian sausage, ground beef is at least as popular as pepperoni. At least as popular.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I can dig on a meat lovers where you just got everything on there. And for some reason, the beef alone, even with the veggie. Where are you guys on mushrooms? This is turning into a weeds podcast.
unless they're expanding my mind, get them shits off my pizza.
Yeah, same here. I don't get them.
Did I ever tell you my story?
Depends on the mushroom, but you can. I mean, sometimes they'll even lie to you straight up if you ask me, "You got canned mushrooms?" Because I don't want those slimy bastards on there.
And I'll say it. Grape soda and orange soda are stereotypes for a reason.
All right, well, let's not get out of control.
Well, shit sells, man.
Let's just stick to what you know.
I can prove it with food orders, demographics, advertising, whatever makes it not racist.
I won't say the chain I worked for because I don't want to get us in trouble. But when I worked in New York, when I lived in New York, I worked at a pizza chain, and we got all of our produce from a local, grocer or farmer or whatever. And and this was an isolated area, so it probably was more likely a farmer. And the first time we got a shipment of mushrooms in, they come in a box, and I opened, had a little removable top, and I removed the top, and I'm like, holy shit, these things are covered in manure still. So I washed them off.
They come with some shit on them still.
Washed them off and chopped them up, put them on the line. A couple days later, the GM comes to me and he goes, "Did you prep mushrooms the other day?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What did you do?" I said, "I washed them off, chopped them up, put them in the walk-in, so they're ready for the, we need them on the line." He goes, "Never wash them off." I said, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Yeah, never wash them off." I'm like, "Why not?" He goes, "The minute you wash it, you're shortening shelf life." I'm like, they're covered in manure. Well, it goes through a 500-degree oven. You're still eating cooked shit. Do you understand? It's just cooked. Yeah, you're not getting bacteria in your mouth, but it's shit. If I could sterilize my shit, could I shit in your mouth?
Yeah, they keep the shit on there so it has a good shelf life to get to you. Then you wash it off and then you serve it.
Moral of the story, kids, always get the canned mushrooms.
I think that
here's the irony. The minute you chop a vegetable, you cut the shelf life drastically more than washing it.
Yeah.
So he had no problem with chopping them. It's not like we did only one bin as we needed them. No, we had 3 bins constantly in the walk-in. That was the par for that for prep in the morning. Yeah. No, I don't trust mushrooms at a pizza place after that, and that's been 22 years now.
I was hoping that story went another way.
I'm off mushrooms on my pizza then from now on, unless I'm making it myself.
I was hoping, listen, that was from a farm in upstate New York. It's near the Woodstock site. There was a DEA incident that a couple of days ago. We were going to have a huge lawsuit on our hands. Is that container still around, and would you sell them back to me?
If that had been the case, I'd have supplemented about 3 weeks worth of income in one night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that was a big box.
Can I switch gears here before we sign off? Because I did want to run something past you guys. Did you hear what the Pope said recently?
Some bullshit about Jesus?
Better to be a good atheist than a shitty Catholic?
Pope suggests it's better to be an atheist than a bad Christian. Says, I believe that the church should not only apologize to the person who is gay, whom it has offended, but has to apologize to the poor, to the exploited women, to children exploited for labor. It has to ask forgiveness for having blessed many weapons.
Dad, I know you listen. I've said this to you. Actually, just saying. Pope says it now too.
So many Christians are like this, and these people scandalize others. How many times have we heard, all of us around the neighborhood and elsewhere, but to be a Catholic like that, it's better than to be an atheist? It is that scandal. The scandal of thinking that a person is automatically good because they identify as a Christian. And not to judge people by their actions.
I've been able to tell you that's
not their affiliations.
Bullshit since before there was hair in my nuts. Well, around the same time. But no, it's just because.
Yeah, but you've been in the minority.
Being a shithead, just go.
Fucking Pope
being a shithead just because. Well, I believe in Jesus doesn't make you less of a shithead. If you're still beating your wife and stealing from fucking.
You should have been Pope.
Hasn't most people who are that deep into theology read Dante? How many popes were in hell? I mean, in his book, I mean, quite a few. So just because you call yourself a Christian, a Catholic, whatever the fuck, doesn't guarantee you're a good person. I mean, how many people sitting on death row are now Christians? How many child molesters find Jesus once they go to prison because they can huddle all together under the protection of the Bible and not get fucking shivved and raped?
He describes what he suggests is a wealthy Christian at the gates, at the pearly gate, saying, this is his quote, "Here I am, Lord. I went to church. I was close to you. I belong to this association. I did this. Don't you remember all the offerings I made?" And his imagined reply from Jesus. I mean, if anyone talks to Jesus on this planet, it must be the Pope, right?
He's supposed to be the one guy with like the direct line, like he's got a cell phone number and shit.
He's got the red phone to Jesus.
Listen, Jesus,
he's got the
we're out of weed.
Break out the Jesus signal.
Jesus, listen, we're out of wine.
Actually, no. You see a Jesus signal in the sky, it's a bad sign.
Yeah, I know, right?
So he goes on to say, from Jesus' perspective, excuse me. Yes, I remember the offerings. I remember them all dirty, all stolen from the poor. I don't know you. That will be Jesus' response to these scandalous people who live a double life.
Yeah. Take that, everybody. That's the Pope. That's your boy.
Yeah.
Calling you out.
Does that sound like a Trump supporter? Because Trump,
you are fake news.
Trump still claims that the Pope supported.
He voted for me, even though
the Pope supported him.
He lives in his own little country in Italy. He still voted for me in the election.
The Pope supported him. The Pope supported him. The Pope supported him.
Yeah.
Well, hasn't this Pope already
I don't know what
done a complete 180 from the former Nazi Pope that took over for John Paul?
I mean,
the whatever.
It's not your father's Pope, man.
Yeah, dude, he got pictured wearing a collar and a Black Sabbath T-shirt from like the 70s.
Ah,
I know that his words don't hold any weight in your lives, but I guess it's positive that there's a lot of people that take what the Pope says seriously. Granted, there's a lot of Christians out there who haven't for a while, any Pope, but you really can't blame that on this Pope. This one's sane. It's every other one that was anti-birth control and...
Yeah, is this like the pro-gay Pope, too?
Yeah, anti-gay and anti-everything.
He's pro-gay? He's like, hey...
Well, explain something to me, Chris, because as our very lapsed Catholic on the podcast here, I thought the point of confession was you go in and basically the priest is a middleman between God and you.
It's like getting your car washed, and it's like getting your soul washed.
Yeah, through him, he absolves you of your sins. And then when you're given your last rites, that absolves you of any sins you've had since your last confession. Mm-hmm. So what does it matter if you're gay? As long as you go to confession and you get your last rites. In theory, haven't your sins been forgiven because you confessed when you were alive and got your last rites?
You haven't fucked a guy in the ass since your last confession? You should be all right.
I mean, because the Southern Baptists that I grew up with, their thing was if you sin and you ask forgiveness and you do the same sin again, then that's basically they tried to pimp this on me when I was a kid. That's blasphemy against God.
Baptists are the ones, aren't they? Southern Baptists, aren't they the ones that dancing's evil, singing's evil, music's evil?
Yeah.
But the Pope here is saying explicitly that it's not your words that matter. It is your actions.
Yes. That's what I've been trying to tell my parents for 20 years.
That's contrary to that principle completely.
Well, that's what I mean. That's the reason I brought up Baptist is just to give you how I was raised. So they took that loophole out when I was a kid.
Right, yeah.
So the first time
Catholics and Baptists, but
the first time I jerked off and I thought it was a sin, I asked Jesus to forgive me, but the second time there was no forgiveness for me because I knew it was a sin and I shouldn't have done it again. That's what
never
they pimp
had
on
that
us.
feeling.
Listen, Jesus, we're gonna have to make a deal here. We're just gonna have to keep this one on the record. This will just be my standing sin. I'll confess this every time.
Right. I mean, everyone's had shameful orgasms in their lives.
I'm 12.
to hang it on an imaginary person is kind of a unique take.
Oh, dude, there's so much guilt built in with sex with Catholicism. It is insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just Catholicism. It's a lot of Christianity, period. It's more acceptable to go out and beat the shit out of a little kid. Like, let's say I'm 15 It's more acceptable to me to go beat the shit out of a 10-year-old than to me to have sex with my high school girlfriend. In the sect of Southern Baptism that I come from. So, like, it's less of a sin. If I murdered someone versus being gay, murder is less of a sin in their mind.
Oh yeah,
than being gay.
I sound like I'm the Kool-Aid man in this. Oh yeah,
So it's and honestly, Aaron, I never drank deeply of the Kool-Aid, but when you're raised with that shit, it's just there. And then once I got to the age where I was like asking questions and being thrown out of Sunday school for the questions I was asking, I was like, okay, this is bullshit. The whole point of Sunday school is to learn. I ask a question, and you people are like, well, you're just trying to disprove God. Well, if he's omnipotent and he's infallible, I shouldn't be able to do it as easily as I do it every Sunday. So,
right.
Man, that's where they got to take a kick.
Plus, I've heard all about God's ego. I think he can take it.
Listen, they got to take a page out of the Catholics' book. The Catholics had that shit down. I was told that me asking those questions was a test of my faith. Like they were right. They were right on top of that. Hey, listen, teenagers are going to ask questions. Mm-hmm. Here's what you tell them.
No, I got a lot of.
Let's see. Where have I heard that one before?
Yeah,
I got a lot of this. Who have you been talking to? Who put these ideas in your head?
Maybe L. Ron Hubbard.
Yeah.
What demon? This was popular for a while in my family. Things like depression, anxiety. Those were demons. Those were not.
Besides actual medical conditions that could actually be treated.
Yes. So you would be taken and prayed for and put in a circle, and then they'd get around and hold hands, and they'd pray in Jesus' name. And, some of the more extreme people in my family, they would actually like speak in tongues and run up and down the aisles and fall down. And there's a very small sect that I've never really seen outside of a couple funerals that they like do the whole snake handling thing and shit. And I'm just like,
man, however you want to get your rocks off, that's all right with me. But yeah, if we want to talk about when it affects the health of other people around you, that's when I really have zero tolerance. Zero tolerance. Oh, I'm using a catchphrase right now. Right? Isn't that not a catchphrase?
A
hashtag.
If you're religious, you might not understand this, but for me, when I see Southern Baptists look at Catholicism and go, look how silly that is. They got to go to a priest for confession. Just go to Jesus directly. Why do they got to get in robes? What's with the big hats?
Southern Baptists, Catholics are looking at you going, whoa, you people need to dial it back a notch.
Yeah, stop handling snakes, speaking in some made-up language.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? Like,
God can't understand what you're saying.
You're telling me that you neither. And I'm just picking on these two because Chris is a Catholic and I was raised Southern Baptist, or Chris was raised Catholic. I'm just picking on these two this could be any religion. You're telling me that none of these people are self-aware enough to go, oh, wait a minute, we all believe some pretty stupid shit, don't we? I mean,
nope.
Like, it's like during the religious list when Bill Maher got up there and he started with the street preachers and he started preaching about what they teach you once you reach Thetan level, whatever the fucking Scientology, and people were laughing. And he goes, oh yeah, they're the crazy ones, not you guys with your talking snake right. And your reanimated Christ and all that. They're the crazy ones. And it proves the point beautifully.
I've always posited if it was Bill instead of Jesus, people would call you insane. Hey, every Sunday we're all going to get together to drink the blood and eat the flesh of Bill. People would be like, what the fuck cult are you a part of?
At that point, I'd be like, what the fuck did Bill do? Was he an asshole?
Yeah.
Like, God damn.
For your sins.
This makes them Tibetan sky funerals look like bullshit, man. God damn.
Oh, no, there's so many. I mean, you just start poking. I mean, I drew too many parallels between God and Santa Claus. Like the whole sees you when you're sleeping, knows when you're awake. Like, it's like, what? Like, is this just really Santa Claus for adults? something to keep you in line. I mean, it's the same principle.
Man.
It's the same principle.
It's not that religion failed you. It's that it didn't stand a chance against.
Because it's like when you're little and you act up, and after Thanksgiving, you get, you better be good. Santa Claus is watching you, and you straighten your shit up. It's like, it's even when you get older, they deal with adults like, you better be good. God's watching you. It's the same principle.
I gotta ask you, Chris, a personal question. I don't think I've ever actually asked you this. And I mean, you don't have to go into details if there are any who do this, but do you have family members who still like try to bring you back into the fold?
My folks do. They do. Now it's become more of just it's mentioned casually. Like when I first actively left the church, you could say they were definitely doing their part. I mean, I guess no one ever. I mean, I've never had a Bible thumped at me, if that's the case. But I mean, I'll get passive aggressive comments all the time, like, "Oh, you'll be back," or "Oh, you need to come back to the church," like that kind of stuff. But
listen, like, you're gonna go to hell.
No, I don't get that. No, that's. But my parents.
Even the Pope says no. Well, you're not going to hell just for being an atheist.
Well, my parents are new school.
You're a good atheist. You're going to heaven.
My parents were like in their 20s in like the late 60s and in the 70s. So they're the new schooly, new agey Catholics. Mm-hmm. They're not their parents were the ones where everything was, you're going to hell, you're going to hell, you're going to hell. They're from that ilk, but they're the progressive Catholics, the first wave of progressive Catholics, right, so to speak. They were the ones that went to guitar masses, that kind of stuff.
See, I get the when I go down to visit family and we're about to eat dinner, they say grace. And
trust me, every family function, like Christmas and shit, there's still grace is said.
Now, out of respect, I don't start eating when I'm at their houses until they've done said grace.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't bow my head. I don't hold, hands, whatever. So what they started doing when they noticed that I wasn't doing that was they go, okay, now that we're all gathered, Rich, lead us in grace.
Like you like sons of bitches. You found
your loophole. And I look at them and I'm just like, grace, let's eat.
Hey, and I'm thankful I'm eating again. Hooray. I mean, that's really what they want you to do. That's really what they want you to acknowledge. Hey, just take a moment of gratitude that, hey, some people aren't going to be sitting down to a meal today. That's really, in essence, what grace is.
No, and I understand
they want you to acknowledge that.
That is a good trait to have. Gratitude is...
But everyone's got to put their religious harangue on it.
Exactly. Gratitude is a very good thing to have. I didn't realize that until I got older.
Yeah.
But assigning gratitude to some character...
Yeah.
That, you know what I'm saying? Like, to me, it's like, I asked a doctor once when my mom was going through her cancer treatment. I said, so how many times have you had people go through cancer treatment and they'll go into remission, there's no signs of it, and they're like, oh, thank God. And he's like, it happens. Like, are you ever tempted to be like, don't thank God, thank me.
Thank science.
Yeah. I'm the one that diagnosed it, caught it, treated it. I'm an oncologist. Thank the people in the chemotherapy lab. Thank the people in the radiation lab.
Yeah, thank medical science advancing. Thank Johns Hopkins. Thank the place where I went to medical school.
Yeah, you want to do something besides, be absolutely, just buy us. Hey, go buy us lunch. Show your gratitude that way. It's like I can't remember what comedian said it, but he goes, I got 2 cats recently. I named them Thoughts and Prayers because they do absolutely nothing. And I was like, that's fair. That's about right.
I just bought a new kitten. We named her hashtag.
Pretty much the same. Is that really the 21st century as the millennials lose their religion? Is that the new religion?
To me, a hashtag it's a millennial thought or prayer.
Thoughts and prayer? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, look, we did something. Not really. You hit send.
I just picture Ralph Wiggum with his finger up his nose going, I'm helping.
Yeah. I know, right? Hey, speaking of helping,
yes,
it's come to my attention sometimes, just listening to the show too, sometimes maybe we do a lot of complaining without offering some solutions. A lot of things all three of us hate. So I was just thinking
I don't hate that.
No, something... What, a lot of complaining without offering a solution?
Complaining is good.
Oh, no, I agree. But I thought, too, maybe give it a nice little spin to the show, just towards the end of the show, maybe every week. Maybe start offering something like, hey, here's somewhere you could go if you maybe want to help and actually do something. Like, I'm just going to push.
You got something in mind?
Well, I'm just going to push voter.org. Let's start there.
Voter.org.
It's a place you can go. You sign up to vote in like 20 seconds. You can register to vote.
Is that just for Michigan, or is that across the nation?
It's all over the country.
Really?
Yes.
Voter.org.
Let's start there.
So it's just an easy way to register.
2018 is next year.
I imagine you can see where your district is as well on there.
Yes.
Nice.
You put in all your, the initial step on the thing is just putting in all of your info.
Right.
And then I guess from there, I didn't do it because I'm registered to vote. But my guess is from there, it gives you all your pertinence.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good reason why we're not panicking over Trump, because we still have faith in the system and know that our vote counts.
Yeah.
That there is no real such thing as voter fraud, and that, if we get enough people on our side, we can vote his ass out of office.
Well, every 2 Novembers.
Or vote some people in there to make his job more difficult.
Every 2 Novembers, they go, hey, what do you think? And we can choose to actually use that opportunity. Or we could sit there and talk shit about it.
Broken.
Yeah, or we could sit there and be that person.
It has to be if Trump's in office.
And I guess when you're younger,
it's broken if you don't vote.
It's how you think, but at the same time, it's the only system we got. And if we're not going to use it, I don't know. It's pointless to have it.
It seems to be the best idea going so far. So unless you found the next...
Yeah, don't.
Right.
I would even throw out there that I know that the presidential election every 4 years is the sexy one. You know, it's the Summer Olympics, but you know, the Winter Olympics that come in between, you know, those elections, those
some of those
could arguably be more important. Those could arguably be more important.
That's why I'm saying let's just go to voter.org now. Like, make sure now, because 2018 is next year. If you are not a fan of Donald Trump, which the 3 of us, 4th of us, Jay and Spirit, obviously aren't. I mean, right now Congress is in his pocket. They are boys. They are wearing the same color tie. This first step to stifling him, to stopping the lunacy, is you need to get Congress to switch over. And that happens 2018, people. That's next year.
Right. I mean, it's pretty evident that his cabinet is a mess.
Yeah.
And you take away Congress from him, and he'll be completely hobbled.
Like, let's not wait until 3 months before the deadline when the media, when registering to vote becomes the sexy thing, you know, it's 90 days before the cutoff line before you can vote in these elections. Go now. Voter.org. I don't know. I'll find something next week, or I'll just pimp this again. But, I don't know. Like, maybe start offering, yes, complaining is healthy, maybe, and then go, hey, a little nudge towards a solution.
No, that's very good. I like it. It gives it a nice balance.
Yeah. So, I guess we're done. That's it.
Yeah, I think I got it all out today.
Yeah.
We only had one mini blow up. So
Trump's been quiet. You know, there's not a lot. You know,
not really.
I mean, I guess I should say it's just been a lot of noise for a couple weeks.
Is it fair to say that he's fallen? Is it fair to say that he's fallen back into the dim roar of just, you know, the news cycle, and other things have been like the whole thing with Milo? I mean, people who didn't even know who the fuck he was before now know who he is.
I think it's just like being.
I'm just saying it's a pretty you know, front of the newscast story.
Well, maybe his experience with the travel ban maybe taught him a lesson. Like, okay, apparently I just can't.
I think it's like being at a concert. When you first get there and the band goes on, you're like, Jesus, fuck, they're loud. And after about 15 minutes, you just adjust, and they don't seem so loud anymore. You're just adjusting. The pot is slowly boiling around you. It's still boiling. You're just getting used to it.
Well,
Yeah, but it's amazing what you can get used to.
it's a horrible thing to blend into the background.
In the meantime, let's just enjoy the jacuzzi, all right? Said one frog to another. Or if you're Twitter, you're the dog sitting at the table at the house on fire saying, this is fine.
Social media is just an amazing place nowadays. Like I
called Twitter 4chan light the other day.
I only really
Sometimes I tweet right at Twitter.
I only temper myself into social media on days I travel, so I'm down to like 2 days every like 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. It is just an amazing shit pile right now. It is. Wow.
Yep.
Just when you thought we couldn't get any shittier. Oh, weird. It's like John Oliver's gimmick at the end of last season. Like just when you thought we weren't at rock bottom.
Yeah.
Look up.
Staring up at rock bottom.
That's rock bottom.
I'm having the opposite experience, maybe because I've noticed my number of friends on whatever social media outlet I'm using has gone down, and I'm not the one deleting them. So I guess people are just removing themselves from my line of sight.
No, I mean
I'm cool with it. I'm like, hey, I've noticed that there's a lot less bullshit on my timeline.
I guess I'm not even talking about my person. I'm just talking when I go into. I'm just talking about the general attitude when I go in and I comment on news stories from NBC or something like that. Like people are just.
Yeah. Well, I can say this. This is, if we're trying to end on a positive note, this is something I've never had happen before. I was watching a YouTube video, and it was an instructional one, and someone got snarky with a guy in response to his comment. And I came back and very just matter-of-factly explained, I think a little bit clearer what the guy was trying to explain, and I was expecting to get roasted. Go back the next day, dude had commented, and he was like, oh, that's what he was trying to say? Oh, my bad. Sorry. Thanks. And I was like, this is YouTube? That never happens on YouTube. YouTube is like, YouTube really is 4chan light. It really is. I mean, in the comment section.
Isn't YouTube synonymously the worst comment sections on the internet?
Oh, that's something that we didn't bring up, but real quick, it's interesting. IMBD shut down their comment sections.
Oh, yeah.
Completely because of how bad they were. So I would say they were worse than YouTube because I've seen some shit there.
Yeah, usually the shit goes down. Like I was reading some Twitter battle over Bill Maher and Milo and POTUS last week, and somebody was calling Bill Maher anti-Islamic or Islamophobic, and these other people were like kind of teaming up with her and saying, yeah, fuck Bill Maher. There were others that were, one other pointed out like, hey, this woman that you're all, responding to her tweet about Bill Maher being anti-Islamophobic is actually for Sharia law. And a bunch of people are like, no, that's bullshit. You're making that shit up. Where does it say that? Then goes on to post links to 3 different stories about her saying, like, Sharia law is nothing to be afraid of, and it's misunderstood, and this is why it would be good for America. And
wow.
Silence. And that was the end of the Twitter stream or whatever you call it. When you like,
because you shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you said the opposite, and here's proof. It's proof of you saying the opposite. What are they going to say to that? No.
But at least there's some sort of conversation being had there. I mean, I understand definitely trying to weed out a lot of the noise on whatever your social media feed of choice is. But I've said it before, I follow a lot of conservatives. I mean, you have to know what the fuck is going on. And if you're only listening to one side, you're never getting a full story. Even if you don't believe 90% of what you read, at least you have an understanding of what they believe and where they're coming from.
That has to be extraordinary reading for you.
Boom. If this mic wasn't on an arm, I'd drop it.
It's expensive mic. No, this is expensive mics. Don't drop them.
It's a condenser. You don't drop those shits.
Yeah. All these people with their mic dropping. So casual with their
But to metaphorically drop the mic on this podcast.
Yeah, and thank everybody who has been listening and downloading at ChristopherMedia.net. You can download us on iTunes. If you go to ChristopherMedia.net, you can subscribe on iTunes or Android. You can just download directly from the website. You can share it on all your social media feeds. We have the usual suspects, your Facebooks, your Twitters, Google Pluses, Pinterests. I think we got a couple others in there, too. At Unregimented Pod on Twitter. At Unregimented on Instagram. And, yeah, share us on Facebook. Tell a friend. It's the most important thing. Tell a friend.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
On track for another record month. So, people are listening. So, we thank you for that, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
All right. Later, guys.